What's going on, guys, and welcome to my Friday Night SmackDown audio review for September 29th, 2023. I am Graham G. Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well, having a great weekend so far. Another quality edition of the Blue Brand on Friday night, kind of a continuous streak in recent weeks, which is good to see. I was skeptical, and I'm not going to say they're hitting a home run with it, but the Solo Sikoa, Jimmy Uso, John Cena, now LA Knight storyline has, I think, and at least in my opinion, has successfully carried SmackDown the past couple of weeks. That will not continue forever. And it still makes absolutely no fucking sense why Jimmy Uso is with Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman and they're not doing anything about it. And where's Roman Reigns to really say, hey, Jimmy, you're not part of the group. You denied my invitation to rejoin the group a month and a half ago. Why the fuck are you here and embarrassing us on behalf of the bloodline? Roman will be back soon. Roman will be back after Fastlane. I think he's advertised for the first SmackDown after Fastlane in like 2 weeks. He will be on SmackDown, I think, on the Friday the 13th episode, if I'm not mistaken. So he will be back soon. But again, it makes absolutely no sense why Jimmy is allowed to stick around with the bloodline. I think we all know where this is going. Now that it's been confirmed, it's going to be John Cena and LA Knight against Jimmy and Solo at Fastlane next weekend. It's going to be Jimmy taking the losing fall, hopefully to LA Knight. Maybe John Cena, which isn't the worst thing, but you would think they would want to put over LA Knight in the main event, probably of the pay. I mean, it may not be the main event of the pay-per-view. I don't know. We do have a World Heavyweight Championship last man standing match that could easily close out the show. But either way, Jimmy Uso is getting pinned in that match. He is not long for this bloodline quote-unquote reunion. Beyond that, though, they've done a good job of building to that match at Fastlane. SmackDown was in a weird spot coming out of SummerSlam with no Jey Uso, no Roman Reigns. What the fuck are they going to do with Solo Sikoa and Jimmy to kind of kill time until Roman comes back, until Roman returns, or when they inevitably kick off the Jimmy Uso-Jey Uso feud? And Jimmy hasn't really been protected in recent weeks. I feel like he's already lost 1 or 2 matches. He did win on this show. They started the show as we get into the review here. Jimmy, Solo, and Paul talking about attacking John Cena to close out SmackDown last week, laying out AJ Styles, putting him in the hospital, disallowing him from competing at Fastlane next weekend. Cena has no partner, no backup, and that brought out actually Karl Anderson, who we have not seen involved in this angle at all up to this point, because he did say to Styles it's not really like a logical, oh, where has he been? Why hasn't he come out on AJ's behalf? Well, he did here, because he told AJ previously, I'm not getting involved in the bloodline drama. That's not my issue. I already warned you against it, and he already told AJ a number of weeks ago, this is your own issue, so you're on your own. They're not breaking up the OC, but AJ said, listen, I'm going to go off and do my own thing if you guys aren't going to help me. But now that AJ's been put in the hospital by the bloodline, or what remains of the bloodline anyway, Anderson was not happy. He ran out here and fended off Jimmy and Solo from the ring. That led to an impromptu match. Karl Anderson one-on-one with Jimmy Uso coming out of the commercial break. Unfortunately for Anderson, this was a straight-up fucking squash. And I'm not even complaining either. Karl Anderson in the WWE universe and in WWE canon has literally zero credibility. Absolutely fucking none. I mean, they came back, the OC did almost exactly a year ago, around early October, coming off of their TNA deals expiring, their Impact deals expiring, reunited the OC. For what? They had that mini feud with Judgment Day a year ago, but they've done absolutely nothing of note since then. WWE clearly thinks so little of these guys that in the 4 or 5 months that AJ was out injured for, they did not appear on the show once. At all. They weren't even on the show at all. And since AJ's been back and he's been doing some stuff with Karrion Kross and, he was involved in the World Heavyweight Championship tournament, they've had some matches on TV. Anderson, I remember, lost to Karrion Kross a number of weeks ago. No one gave a shit, but they did that match at one point. They lost to the Profits at one point on SmackDown. No one gives a fuck about the OC, so no one cared about Karl Anderson here. They popped for him attacking the bloodline, but beyond that, no one gave a shit. So stretching this out into a 10-minute match wouldn't really have made much sense, especially at a time when Jimmy Uso needs credibility on his own. So giving him the quick win over Karl Anderson was exactly the right call. That made sense. We had the Grayson Waller Effect, of course hosted by Grayson Waller, with Bobby Lashley. And this was a disappointing segment in the sense that we didn't get any answers from Bobby or the Profits. Bobby just said that he was basically disappointed in what the Profits did or did not do last week when they lost to the LWO's Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar. And they didn't really show more of an edge or whatever. The Profits came out here as Bobby was talking. They confronted Bobby, and they were wearing suits, and they were like, we can get back on track, we can make it up to you, and Bobby walked off. A very short segment. Waller did most of the talking. Waller did say at one point, you could always join up with me and Austin Theory, and Bobby said, listen, I'm familiar with Austin Theory. That's a big no thanks. And thank the fuck God, because we do not need more Bobby Lashley Austin Theory matches. That is the last thing that we need. And they work well together. They had a lot of good matches last year and earlier this year. We do not need more matches from them. Anyway, so this was really a non-segment, but it did lead and it did set up what we got a little bit later on. So more on that momentarily. By the way, no Alba Fire and Isla Dawn segment this week. I didn't mention it in my review a week or two ago. But they aired a vignette for them, I think on SmackDown last week, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago, where they said that they were the reason why the WWE Women's Tag Team titles have been cursed. Ever since they lost the NXT Women's Tag titles, the tag titles have been cursed, which is true. Well, they've always been cursed, really well before that. But I don't think there was any ever follow-up on that. I'm not sure if we saw a video from them on this show as well. I don't think so. Anyway, so coming out of that previous segment, Austin Theory came out, and him and Lashley went face-to-face. Theory had a match against Cameron Grimes. He could take his face off from the back of the milk carton because he's been back. He's back now on SmackDown. Has not been back, but he's back here. His first appearance, I think, on SmackDown, maybe since early August. I know he had a match. His last match on SmackDown may have been the match with Theory a month and a half ago. And they had a nice little sprint, but Theory at that point was the United States champion. Grimes wasn't winning. They have done fuck all with Cameron Grimes in the last couple of months. He got off to a good start on SmackDown earlier this year. He beat Baron Corbin in like 2 seconds or whatever it was. He beat Ashanti the Adonis, and that was about it. They gave up on Grimes, and we really haven't seen him push since. He's got a lot to offer. He doesn't really have a character right now. He's just kind of there as an enhancement guy, which is a bummer. You can't focus on everyone at once. I get that. But it seemed like they were going to do something with him and AJ, where he wanted to help out AJ, and AJ said no, maybe Grimes would turn on him. We saw nothing ever with that again. So, whatever. This match was good. It was short. It was a nice showcase for Grimes, although he did not win. It was Theory. So Theory got dominated the majority of the match and won in the end. So it didn't really make Grimes look great. It didn't really benefit Theory, but Theory, the bottom line is this. He needed this win more. He's the one on TV as a consistent regular right now. He doesn't win a lot. Theory's pretty much a loser as well. But he's on the show with Waller as a tag team, so he kind of needs some wins. Not only that, but he got up in Dragon Lee's face at ringside. Dragon Lee, NXT superstar. He was on Monday on Raw competing for the NXT North American Championship in a great match with Dirty Dominic Mysterio. And even in defeat looking really, really good. It's clear to me coming off that performance and a lot of other people that they are priming this guy for the main roster. They put up a video for him on this show. The same video I think they aired for him either this week on Raw or last week or whatever. He was all over NXT on Tuesday. Not all over the show, but he competed in a match on Tuesday's NXT. He's challenging for the North American Championship tonight. Or no, he's not actually. I'm sorry. He's a special guest referee in the North American Championship match with Trick Williams and Dominic. And he's going to be on SmackDown again next week facing Austin Theory. So that was why Theory won here. Dragon Lee should beat Theory next week. And before going on to team with Rey Mysterio and Santos against the Profits and Lashley in a 6-man tag team match, which brings me to my next point. We had Rey Mysterio on the show defending the United States Championship against Santos Escobar. And I was wondering, why the fuck would you not do this on pay-per-view? We already had one match between them already. On SmackDown a few months ago, Escobar won via referee stoppage when Rey got hurt. They got a lot of time and it was a good match, but it really never reached that next gear. This one did, but it's still not the best I think these two could offer, and I think that was done by design. That Escobar heel turn is coming. Based on what he said in that interview earlier on in the show backstage, he has a lot of love and respect for Rey Mysterio. He's his mentor. He has been all year. That's great. Santos is clearly getting frustrated and coming up short to Rey Mysterio. He lost clean here, but maybe he would have won if he went 100% at Rey instead of 85%. He had him in a couple different positions where he was inflicting pain and punishment, and he could have put him away, but he hesitated on a couple different occasions. And the story is that those hesitations cost him the win in the championship here. A great match. Rey won clean. I'm not bothered by it, though, because, again, they're clearly telling the long-term storytelling here. The long-term story with Rey and Santos, and turning on Rey, Santos turning on Rey, and winning the United States Championship from him on the Sooner side. Hopefully. We have a roadblock, though. Before, what I really liked about not only the match was great, but after the match, Rey was celebrating, Santos kind of sitting there dejected. I could have won, but I didn't. Another loss, failure to win the championship, what the fuck, blah, blah, blah. Rey extended his hand. Santos did not reciprocate it. Now, they did show them afterward backstage, getting back on the same page to challenge Lashley and the Profits to a match at the pay-per-view next weekend, and whatever, and that match has been made official per the SmackDown Lowdown. I'll get to that momentarily, in another video, obviously. But my takeaway here was that Rey extended his hand to Santos. Santos did not shake it, and before he could or could not shake it, they were attacked. So I really, really liked that touch, because you don't know what Santos was going to do. Maybe he would have turned on Rey in that moment. Yeah, they were back to being on the same page afterward backstage, but only because they had two common enemies in the Street Profits. So I like this a lot. A great match. It makes sense now why they didn't do it at the pay-per-view. They want to do the 6-man instead. Bobby getting back in the ring for the first time since May. Almost 5 months since his last match on WWE television. It's going to be him and the Profits against the LWO next week. Now, I'll talk about this again in the SmackDown Lowdown because that was where they made the match official. The graphic indicates it's going to be Bobby and the Profits against 3 members of the LWO. Now, could it be fucking Santos and Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro? Sure, but people want Rey on the show. And would Rey and Escobar really team with like Joaquin Wilde or Cruz del Toro? I don't think so. I think the obvious direction here is this, because when the Profits were attacking Rey and Santos after this match, Dragon Lee, who was still sitting at ringside, wanted to jump the barricade, but he was held back by security. How fucking often does that happen? I almost thought it was real for a second. There have been points in WWE recent history where people have attempted to jump the ring, and when they did, they were held back by security because the security thought they were not supposed to do that. Like Gronk at WrestleMania 33, he was held back by their main female security guard, and they had to let her know, hey, like, don't do that. He has to jump in the ring for a spot, which was funny. I almost thought that was the case here, but he never ended up joining the ring, so it was clearly planned. But I'm thinking, people jump the ring constantly. He doesn't work for SmackDown, but he works for the company. Let him jump the ring and help his friends. I thought that was dumb. Clearly, this is setting up, though, a Rey Santos Dragon Lee match against the Profits and Bobby. Something to keep in mind here, we have not seen him on the show since Backlash, but at least not since, it was reported that he was officially signed. Carlito, he could be a possible contender for that matchup. I know Dragon Lee's clearly on SmackDown right now for a reason. He will be the partner, and that would be great. But I'm just saying, Carlito coming in and also being the partner instead of Dragon Lee or Cruz del Toro or Wilde or whoever would also be a fun surprise. Because we all kind of figured that he's coming back to do something with the LWO, clearly probably as a babyface, either joining the group or joining Escobar or whatever. You would think this would be a nice spot for him. It would be a nice surprise. It probably will be Dragon Lee, and it's perfectly okay. That makes sense. That's a great spot for Dragon Lee. Dragon and Rey Mysterio being on the same side is awesome. But Carlito's an option. Just keep an eye out for that one. We had Charlotte Flair and Bayley one-on-one for the first time since, I think, 2020, they said. It does not feel like it's been that long at all. I feel like I've seen this match a million fucking times, and it's a match I do not ever need to see again. And that's a shame. They work well together. I like Bayley. I like Charlotte. They have good chemistry. They always have for the past 10 years. The problem is that they've done this match so fucking often in those last 10 years. In 2013, they did it. 2014, they did it. They did it, I'm sure, in 2015. 2016, they had a few matches. 2017, they had a lot of matches. 2019, I know they had a lot of matches. In 2020, they clearly had a match as well. 2018 might be the only year they didn't have a match because Charlotte was on SmackDown, I think. She didn't come back to Raw until 2019, and Bayley was on Raw at that point. So 2018 might be the only year they didn't have a singles match. Every other year they have. I am sick of seeing Charlotte and Bayley. They had a fine match here, and no one gave a shit. But before the match, Charlotte got on the mic. And she, and you knew exactly where this was going. She got on the mic and challenged Io Sky. Not even challenged, but just said that she would be in the WWE Women's Championship match at Fastlane next weekend. For what fucking reason? Because she won a tag team match a couple weeks ago, or she beat Bayley? She challenged Io to the title before she even beat Bayley, which made it pretty obvious who was winning here. Dumb. But this was, again, a fine match, and Charlotte wins, LOL. Bianca leaving for whatever reason, whether it just be for a much-needed or much-deserved break, or there's something going on, an injury, whatever. It's really hurt Charlotte. I mean, Charlotte, if they have no other plan for her, because it was clear they were headed towards something with her and Bianca, and they moved away from it when Bianca went away, and now Charlotte's back in the title picture, because God forbid she can't do anything else but be in the championship picture. It's like she did nothing to earn it. And Asuka's in the match anyway. Asuka made the save for Charlotte after when Damage Control attempted to attack Charlotte. Asuka ran in the ring, fended them off, sided with Charlotte, and also put herself in the match for next week and for the WWE Women's Championship. Again, it's a case of like, I mean, Asuka at least, she probably would have won the championship last week had it not been for the outside interference from Charlotte and Bayley, and even then, Io kind of won clean. It wasn't a DQ finish. Neither of them have really earned an opportunity. It really should be Asuka versus Charlotte, again, for the upteenth time, for the millionth time, and then the winner of that match challenging Io at the pay-per-view. A triple threat just feels so fucking lazy because instead of Bianca being in there, it's Io. It's the same match we got at SummerSlam, and it should be a great match, but it's like, really? And Bayley was the one who announced it on Io's behalf, made it official, and there's more tension there. They've been teasing tension with those people, with those girls, with Bayley and Io forever. So, I mean, that's really nothing new. I would say she should have put herself in the match to make it a four-way, to make it a little more interesting. At the same time, though, it's like, I'm not even sure Adam Pearce in storyline could have proved that, because Bayley has done fuck all to earn an opportunity herself. She lost to Charlotte here. She lost to Shotzi 2 weeks ago. She lost to... Didn't she have another match where she lost recently? Was it to Asuka? I think it was to Asuka last week. She lost to her too. Bayley's been taking all the L's. It probably would be Dakota Kai if she was cleared, but instead it's Bayley losing to everyone. So that wouldn't make any sense. But I can't say I'm excited for that match just because it feels like we've been here before. It's the same story they were telling 2 or 3 months ago. Not even. At SummerSlam almost 2 months ago. The main event segment, of course, what we all expected to happen to close out the show, but it played out amazingly well, so I can't complain. John Cena comes out. He was late to arriving to the building, they said, and he had the contract in hand. He said, listen, if I can't find a partner, I'll take on Solo and Jimmy myself on my own at Fastlane. No need. LA Knight making the save before Solo and Jimmy could put Cena through the table. No Super Cena on this show. The age just kind of caught up to him and made him a little less super, so Cena cannot overcome the odds as easily as he used to. I mean, I remember the days 15 years ago of Cena taking on fucking 15 people at once and beating up everyone. And remember that 15-on-2 or the 30-on-2 match they did on Raw back in 2008 with him and Orton, beating the entire Raw roster? I mean, now at this point, Cena can't even take on 2 people, which is nice. It's more realistic. It's just funny. But anyway, LA Knight making the save to a ginormous reaction. The fans in Sacramento very happy to see LA Knight doing the whole chant along with them, popping huge. He lays out both guys, signs the contract, and the match is now official. We were probably going to get this segment a week ago if LA Knight didn't get COVID, but we got it this week. I'm glad they didn't move away from that plan, and he's also okay. It's going to be LA Knight and John Cena taking on Solo and Jimmy Uso, coming up at Fastlane next weekend. A great spot for LA Knight, a great endorsement of him. We already saw Cena raise his hand at Fastlane, so it kind of makes sense why he'd be out there, and we also had him calling out Roman Reigns recently after beating The Miz. I'm just hoping that this does not lead to LA Knight and Roman at Crown Jewel. I feel like that's too soon. He's over enough to make the match work. He's not fucking winning. Whenever the match happens, he's not winning. So I would just wait until the Royal Rumble. Have him face Solo at Crown Jewel or Jimmy or someone, and give AJ the spot for Crown Jewel. You could have a Crown Jewel card that realistically features AJ Styles challenging Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Championship, LA Knight taking on Jimmy Uso, and John Cena facing Solo Sikoa. Because John Cena, I mean, that show has not even been announced by WWE yet, but it has been by Saudi Arabia. So it's pretty clear we're getting that show. I think November 4th, I'm pretty sure. So Cena would be taking on Solo. He's announced for that show, and Solo can beat him. I mean, that's a fine way to give Solo his heat back while Jimmy loses to LA Knight. Either way, I'm looking forward to where this goes. A good show tonight, or last night rather, from SmackDown. The women's scene needs work. I mean, we complain about Dynamite, oh, they only have one women's match in 2 hours. I mean, fucking SmackDown ain't much different. I mean, they put them in the match right before the main event, didn't get a ton of time. It wasn't really that memorable of a match. Io and Asuka were given a lot of time last week, to their credit, and they had an excellent match. But really, we do only get one women's match a show on SmackDown. Usually 2 on Raw, not all the time, only sometimes. They need to work on that as well. But I'm digging the U.S. Championship stuff with Escobar and Rey, Lashley, and the Profits, as well as the main event storyline right now. The other stuff could use some work. They need a bigger, deeper roster for SmackDown, and they have the talent. They just need to use them more. But beyond that, I'm digging what we're seeing right now on SmackDown. It should be only become more interesting when Roman Reigns returns, I think in 2 weeks, to SmackDown, coming out of the Fastlane pay-per-view next weekend. Speaking of which, not sure if we're doing a SmackDown review next week due to the pay-per-view that night. It's not an afternoon pay-per-view, but I might not be around that afternoon. So I'm not sure if I'll review SmackDown. I definitely won't be able to review SmackDown Lowdown, I think, before the pay-per-view that night, and I'll just watch it and review it on Sunday. So just keep an eye out for that. But thank you guys for checking out my SmackDown review this week for September 29th, 2023. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Also check out my SmackDown Lowdown review coming up probably now. I usually put up both videos around the same time, so keep an eye out for that. And we'll have a Collision review up tomorrow as well. So again, like I said, hit the bell button to be notified every time a new video goes up, and subscribe for more daily content. Have an awesome one, guys. Enjoy No Mercy tonight and Wrestle Dream tomorrow. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.